Welcome back, guys, to another Blastcast. Today, before the video, I want to talk a little bit about Epic Games, who have been gobbling up exclusives literally left and right. The Outer Worlds is now going to be an Epic Games exclusive, which means they're not going to sell that shit on Steam at all. Which, to be honest, why would you sell anything on Steam nowadays anyway? Your ability to get an audience is so small compared to Epic Games. The kickbacks for Epic Games is also way higher too, which is good on them for doing that. I do appreciate a company that, looks after the people it's going to publish. That is pretty nice. They also announced they aren't going to have any hate games on their marketplace. It's genuinely nice to see a company give a shit about what they're putting on their store shelves. I don't really get to talk about that in the rest of the video, so I'm talking about it now. So make of that what you will. That being said, I guess, on with the show. Remember when Steam was good? Remember when their storefront wasn't chock full of crap with the occasional gem? Remember when they made games, actual games, and they sold games that they actually made? Oh man, I really miss the good old days when Steam had only up to go. Ever since Steam opened up its platform to indie games, the service has been plagued with a plethora of low-effort, downright disturbing content. I just wish they would actually look at what the hell they're putting on their store shelves. Just taking literally a minute and having an actual person go through the new submissions. But no! Can't have that! It's not even like Steam ever really tried. When Greenlight was first introduced, they vetted the games for a remarkable couple of months. That's literally it. And from the time they stopped to the time I'm making this video, it's only gotten worse. So much worse. Steam has devolved into an anything-goes version of a storefront. A libertarian's wet dream where the lack of regulation has led to the utter destruction of Steam as a game-selling service. And the ultimate endpoint of this type of system is Rape Day. The same store that advertised they will allow literally anything has now had to deal with the fact people are kind of dicks. Welcome to Steam 2019, where they are now actively ready to publish a game where the goal is to rape women. Congrats, people! We've arrived! I believe we have reached peak damage at this point. Before Rape Day, it was a game where you play as a school shooter. You can't even write this stuff. I'm sitting here still dumbfounded as to how any reputable business lets something like this happen. I've used this analogy once, and goddammit, I'm gonna use it again because it needs to be said once more. It's a common practice for stores to vet their products because you as a business don't want to be related to, I don't know, let's say apples full of cyanide. If tomorrow you went to Target and a bunch of suicide apples were being marketed there, would you shop there? Would you think of Suicides R Us as a place to get your products? No, of course not. Why would you want to shop at a place that's constantly advertising suicide? That would be a non-starter. But it's video games, so whatever, it doesn't matter, I guess. And I guess that's not all bad. I mean, Steam did pull the game from sale, and hey, it only took them months to do it. And I can't believe this situation gets worse. It's not enough to have a game about rape almost being released, but there are actual asshats who defend it. We are to the point where people are actually defending asset flips. Your typical edgelords whose only argument in favor of unsavory stuff is, well, what about censorship? An argument that doesn't even make sense because quality control isn't at all comparable to censorship. If tomorrow AMC said they were no longer going to show The Walking Dead and that The Walking Dead was then canceled, would that be considered censorship? The answer is no, because it's a private business and it gets to decide what it shows on its platform. If Walmart regularly sold broken or controversial products, Walmart would most likely be out of business. At what point is protecting a business more important than letting every creepy bigot throw shit on your store shelves? These people don't even understand free speech as a right. So let me take a few moments to explain free speech. First of all, free speech, as afforded to you via the Constitution, applies to the government and government organizations, not private businesses. Second, the First Amendment, when it does apply, doesn't shield you from the criticism or consequences of what you say. You have the right to say what you want, but that doesn't mean you are immune from the fallout after you say it. If you get fired or kicked off of Twitter, you aren't being discriminated against. That's just a private entity showing you the door. Third, free speech is not all-powerful. It's true most everything you want to say or produce flies unless it's criminal. You can't steal independent work for profit, you can't incite violence, you can't aid and abet a crime by lying. These are not protected by free speech. And 4, private entities, while you are under their jurisdiction, can dictate what speech they allow. So, if you go on Twitter and break the guidelines they set up, they can absolutely ban you. Hell, if they wanted to, they could ban you for absolutely 0 reasons. That's their power as an owner of Twitter as a platform. This means no one disconnected from the government has to host you or give you a platform to promote your ideas. Steam pulling this game from its storefront isn't a violation of free speech. And Steam is well within its rights to decide what they sell. And I get it, okay? I'm sympathetic to your censorship concerns. I understand the need for an open, unalienable ability to speak your mind. But no one is telling the developer of Rape Day they can't sell their game. We're just saying, maybe Steam isn't the place to sell it. You can certainly go sell it on a private website you've created. And acting like the other side, making objections to Rape Day being sold and bemoaning and whining about the SJWs and the horrible censorship brigade getting to speak their minds is equally anti-censorship. It's pro-censorship in the opposite direction, friendo. Telling the people who complain about Rape Day they shouldn't get a say in this is anti-free speech, yeah? And let's face it, maybe, just maybe, a service that routinely has children as consumers doesn't need a game called Rape Day in the upcoming releases section. And that's an option that is shared hilariously enough by the developer of Rape Day. He has no problem admitting Steam isn't the right place to sell this type of game. But the alt babies, unfortunately, can't understand the concepts I'm talking about. We haven't even talked about the outside threats from this anything goes practice yet either. This is actively hurting Steam now. Since 2010, there has been a big rise in digital storefronts for video games, most notably being GOG and Epic, and if you're a fan of indie titles, I cannot recommend GameJolt and itch.io enough. I'll concede these options are still not as good as Steam. They don't come with all the perks Steam provides. But that issue is really more of a time matter than anything, because all it's going to take for these businesses to get to Steam's level is time. Steam has been around much longer than all these services, but let me assure you that they will catch up. Epic has been in the news recently for hosting spyware, and to be honest, that seems like a much more meager problem than letting some dickhead publish a game about school shootings. I'm not saying trade in Steam right now for Epic either. I'm not saying Epic is so much better than Steam, because it's not. I actually kind of dislike Epic. But you have to admit, Epic has one thing going for it. It's not constantly in the news for having to remove titles like Rape Day. And it sure as hell isn't clogged to the brim with low-effort trash. Well, not yet anyway. And it's only ever going to continue to happen. As long as Steam continues to be Steam, it's only ever going to invite competition. And while Steam actively keeps that bar low, it's only going to make it that much easier for another company to come along and do it better. And when the time comes, that's where I'll be. Additionally, governments are now eyeing Steam for possible regulation. The service has become toxic to the point of politicians thinking it's a problem, which sucks even worse. People like me have been begging and pleading for Steam to shape up and fix its shit for years. And it's only ever been met with the usual brush off from the higher ups. Steam, please, just a little bit of quality control.